Quick question. If I were to delete your code base and your ability to code yourself, would your value disappear? The real job of a software engineer is not coding. Coding is the final step. The real job of a software engineer is to take uncertainty, turn those into requirements, and turn those requirements into real, tangible outcomes over and over and over again. My name is Jean-Baptiste. I've been in software for over 15 years, building and shipping real products. And right now, I'm building my own SaaS platform, Adely, which helps small businesses master and stay consistent on social media. So let's define terms real fast before we keep going forward. A software developer implements the code. And that means they build the features, they ensure that what is required of them gets built and gets created in the actual code base. Whereas software engineers, they own the result. They clarify requirements, they make sure everything's working properly, they make sure that the requirements match the final output, they address any issues in the overall solution. It's more so owning the solution rather than just building and tinkering and building and shipping code. So developers ship the code and engineers own the result. If you start thinking like the second one, if you start thinking like an engineer instead of just a developer, that's where things start to change. Today I'm going to give you 6 responsibilities of a software engineer. And make sure you listen out for number 4, because that's going to be one of the most important that separates a junior engineer from a senior engineer. Let's go ahead and get started. So point number 1, requirements. And what we mean by requirements is what needs to be built. This is before you even start writing any code. You sit down and ask yourself, as an engineer, what do I need to build in this app? And so for example, let's take a login page. If you have a login page, you can say, I need to build a login page. My users need to be able to log in. However, what needs to go into this login page? As an engineer, that's where you have to think, do I need a Google login or do I not need it? Do I need forget reset password functionality? Do I need a magic link where it emails you a link to log in? These are all engineer questions that you ask. A developer can't answer these questions. The developer is going to implement, but the engineer is going to answer the questions of what do you need? And the key with this one is getting from requirements to done is the major point here. A lot of times we make requirements, but we also add on things. As engineers, we add things along the way and say, well, actually, we need this, and actually, we need that too, which delays the actual work getting done. And so, with this first point, it's your job as an engineer to ensure your requirements are well written and have a clear done. So, when the work gets finally started and completed, it's done for real. So, point number 1, requirements. And that leads to something that could take a lot of time, which is our next point. So point number 2, trade-offs. And this is a huge thing in the software engineering community. And we're pretty much talking about how to make the most simple solution that works. And a lot of times software engineers will make a solution that works, but is very complex, eats up a lot of resources, is very clunky. It's hard for future developers to get in there and understand what's going on. It just leads to a lot of headaches in the future. And so your job as an engineer is to balance all of these things together. Balance speed of developing versus making sure the app works. Balance using the right services versus making sure those services are secure, and implementing the right tools to save costs and save just overall quality of the app. All these things you need to balance out and think in your head as an engineer when you're building. There are trade-offs with every solution that you implement, every tool. But the golden rule that I follow and that most engineers follow is simplicity beats everything else. Aim for the simplest solution that works and that works reliably. Don't do something complex just for the sake of doing something complex. Always try to find the simplest solution, and you'll be happy going in the future, especially when bugs start to pop up. You know that your solution is simple to debug and simple to triage any issues. So that's step number 2, managing the trade-offs. Now let's move on to what the users will actually experience in step 3. So point 3 of being a software engineer is all about reliability. And reliability just comes down to making it work in the real world. So now you've made your requirements and got them all done. You've picked the simplest solution, and now it's out in the open, and that's where all the bugs start magically appearing, doesn't it? So when your app is out there, you have to make sure that reliability is the main priority when it's actually deployed to the public. Meaning, if I go onto your site and I sign up, can I log in, or do I get hit with an error? Can I create an account? Can I do the basic functions of the app? Now, every app is going to have bugs here and there. We're not saying build a solution that no bugs, because I've yet to see that in the app. But we are saying make sure your app does what you say it's going to do. And that is key as an engineer, to identify this is what the app is supposed to do. Is the app doing that? And that gap is where you need to close and make sure that the requirements are met, or the proper work is done to close that gap of done requirements versus reliable code. So that's point number 3. Now, let's move on to another point, and this is what I said earlier, to separate junior and senior level engineers. So point number 4, this is probably one of the most important points in this video, and it's risk. And this is what separates junior engineers and senior engineers. And it's something called foresight. As an engineer, it's key that you understand the long game. So when you first build an app, you're building it, and it's mostly being built in a simple format. You're building it in a simple way. You're building it in a way that you can ship it and have little headaches. It's just out there, and it's working, and customers are signing up and they're using it, and you might have a small subset of users. But you need to also foresee the long game, which is what happens when your app gets 1,000, 10,000 users all at once. What happens when, it's 3 a.m. and a whole other country is coming online when your server might not be ready to handle that capacity? These are all things you should think about when you're building your app. What happens when we want to add mobile app support, and we need to think about how that is going to work in terms of having a whole other repo for mobile or Android, iOS, iPad, different platforms. These are all questions that you need to think about, and only a senior engineer mindset can really understand and look and see the entire landscape, because these aren't things you can see on the code. This is not things you can see by looking at an architecture graph. These are things that you have to think long term to truly understand. And when you understand those things, you can say, let's put in the proper mechanisms in place to prevent what might happen in the future. Any type of failover, or any type of error handling, debugging, logging, all these things help handling future issues that might arise in your app. So that's point number 4, prevent fires. So point number 5 is communication. As an engineer, you're not just writing code, you're not just helping people write code, you're not just giving out requirements. You are in a constant state of communication. And that means you're talking to a lot of different people and getting them to reach a level of clarity about what the solution is. So if I write a requirement to say, hey, let's implement this upload system for videos and files, and I give that to a developer, I just say, well, just here you go. They have the requirements, they have what needs to be done, but communication helps them take it to the next level and understand, why are we doing this? What's the context? How would a user want to use this? And that helps a lot with developers implementing your solution. And so communication is key. I often say over communicate so much that you think people are getting annoyed and tired of you. And that's when you're communicating enough. If people aren't hearing you enough and seeing you enough, and they think that you're not communicating to them in a way that it's overbearing sometimes even, you need to communicate more. But my main point here is communication is key, and make sure that not only you give the requirements that need to be implemented, but you explain the bigger picture. You explain what risks might arise from this implementation. You ask for feedback, you ask for questions. There's a lot of communication that goes into being an engineer. And so that's point 5. Now, the last one, and this is what makes you valuable, even if the AI is writing your code, even if you're vibe coding. Let's talk about point 6. So point 6, the last point, is impact. Tie the work that you do to the outcomes that you create. And this is what I meant back earlier, in that engineers own the outcomes. So outcomes pretty much means, what's the impact of your solution? What's the impact of your code? How many people are signing up? How many people are converting to trials? How many people are using the features that you've implemented? Are people using the features, or are they using other features and not feature A when they should be using feature A, but they're all going to feature B? These are all things you should think about and measure them and track them and understand them, because these are the outcomes of what you build. See, engineers, we have to think like owners. We're not just building something for the sake of building, but we're owning something that is actually out there in the real world. And people are using it. People are learning and understanding your software and how to maneuver it and all these different things. All this stuff is data that you can take back to improve and continuously improve your application. And so, beats output. A lot of times, developers will code, engineers will ship or whatever. And then after that, there's not really any follow-up on what's just been shipped. Like, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's keep building away. Let's keep pounding away. And then you're not really learning from what you're shipping. And so that's where this one is very key. Impact beats outcome. So after you deliver an outcome, focus on the impact that it makes. To recap, this is the real job of an engineer. To clarify requirements, choose the simplest solution, build reliability, reduce risk early, communicate clearly, and finally deliver impact. If you are doing these 6 things, congratulations, you're an engineer. So my challenge to you guys this week is, as you're building your app, as you're developing, and as you're engineering, pick one feature, create a requirement around it. Instead of just vibe code this thing and get it done and just ship it out. Create an actual, I do this myself in GitHub issues. I create actual requirements, what needs to be done, what needs to be written. And so regardless if I'm giving it to the AI or whatever, I have that requirement there. So I know in my mind as an engineer, this is the result that I want. So I'm owning this result. I'm owning what I'm implementing. And so challenge to you is to create those requirements. GitHub issues is a great place to start. You can even ask ChatGPT or any AI platform to create the requirement, the issue for you. And literally it'll create it using GitHub. If you have that, if you give it access, it'll create it directly in GitHub. You don't have to go to GitHub to create it. It'll create it for you directly from your code editor if you want to try that as well. So make that a challenge for yourself and see how things change for you in terms of software engineering. So grateful for you guys who made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments and I'll be happy to help. If you need help with your business in terms of social media marketing, Adely is perfect for you. It's our SaaS platform for social media scheduling, and we offer 7 days free. So definitely check that out if you want to level up your social media game. And that's it for me. So thank you so much. Have a good one.